In the silence of the snow stood a very old house. It was a 2-story, wood-framed dwelling that had been home to many a family for well over 100 years. She stood there, now empty, tucked away at the end of a quiet street in the oldest part of the city. No light shone from her front window, no curtains to fancy the view, no furnace to warm her hallways. All of that was in the past. Creak, groan went her floorboards. Scritch, scratch went the tree branches on the broken window panes. A deep sigh sank into her foundation. She stood, the last of her kind, in the snowy world of Christmas Eve and days gone by. A familiar car slowed down to gawk at her. It passed by twice a day to avoid the rush of Main Street, but always took time to look. What for? She hated that. Overnight, her for sale sign had been replaced with another. Condemned. The car moved on. Mind your own business, the old house thought to herself. Things had been different once, but her recollections were dim now. Like vague images of shadows and light, they paused briefly and then passed in a haze. She had forgotten the better, briefer time. After all, she was over 100 years old. The other houses on the block snickered at her. "Well, it's about time," said house number 1224 from across the street. "She's devaluing my property. What an eyesore. We'd be the next Mount Royal if it wasn't for her." How proud the fresh young thing was of her Bauhaus appeal. The previous home had raised 5 children. They had been the old house's best friend. But the old house's confidant had been replaced with a cold, cubic cell boasting curb appeal and low maintenance. Oh, why doesn't she just fall down? Dismissed number 1223, the old house's neighbor. Everything to do with 1223 had been refinished in a hurry. She was a flip house and thought the title gave her status. She was not very smart. She got excited with each speedy renovation that the owner threw at her, hoping to make her shine brighter than the rest. No one knew about her poor plumbing or old wiring. The entire house was glossed over with a bit of paint here, an ornamental shrub there, or an added facade around the windows. Inside, she was empty, but no one seemed to look that close. The old house said nothing. They assumed she was hard of hearing, since she rarely responded to their natterings. She pretended to sleep, but kept listening. This was what her neighborhood had become. "Hey, 1222, called the skinny condominium from across the alley. There was no room for children in her pasty shell. She was strictly dual income, no kids allowed. "I heard you had a complete makeover." "That's right, honey," bragged number 1222. "I got me 2 new bedrooms, a double garage, plus an ensuite off the master on the main floor. What do you think of that, eh? That's what happens when you are inherited by the grandkids. I feel like $1,000,000. 1222 was a bungalow with attitude. She liked to be referred to as a single-family dwelling with potential. Gone was the old-fashioned hand-painted trimming, her endearing picket fence, and her chimney that once puffed out needed heat long ago. All gone, including her undeniable feeling of being loved and valued by a frugal and frail old couple who had lived simply within her walls for over 60 years. Her new owners criticized her daily shaking their heads and talking about how hard it was to improve her. She, of course, never mentioned that. A pang of sadness forced her into gossip mode. She continued, "Did you know that 1221's owners gutted her? I mean, she's never been the same since. She seems kind of vacant." They collectively gasped and tisked disapprovingly. Just then, the old house's back door swung open. "Oh, good Lord, how embarrassing," she thought. "Would you look at that?" the others sniped under their breath. "She can't even keep her own door shut. Oh, pathetic." Well, no time for chit-chat now. The short winter day was over. The rest of the houses heated up to greet their busy owners. The old house watched as cars pulled up to the driveway and people rushed out, their arms laden with presents. It was Christmas Eve. When was the last time the old house had felt cared for? She couldn't remember. The air was cold, and her rooms were drafty as the moonlight sifted through. Oh, to feel the warmth of Christmas and a family one more time, the old house wished. The snow kept falling, collecting on her heaving sidewalks that begged to be shoveled clear. It sifted underneath her front door, forming an icy carpet in the hollow entranceway. The night was long. She forced herself to turn off her mind. It was pointless to want something she would never have again. The drone of the city lulled her as she settled into a fitful sleep. Tap, tap, tap. What was that? Something was upstairs. Oh, probably mice. Mice and stray cats were the only things living here in the winter. By spring, the termites and ants would return. Laughter started, then chattering. The old house braced herself. Intruders. She'd heard about them. They came for shelter, some of them, but most left their mark with spray paint or worse. There was nothing she could do about it. She held her breath. Two red-headed children bounded down the rickety old stairs as fast as they could. The little girl had on a heavy cotton nightie, and the boy had flannel pajamas with cowboys on them. Both wore warm hand-knitted woolen socks on their feet, and as they stepped, the old house felt the stairs become clean and sturdy. She watched and listened. At the bottom of the stairs, the boy rocked back and forth on a loose wooden floor panel. Then together, the two children ran toward the living room. Its dreariness stopped them. They looked at each other and nodded in silent agreement. The little girl moved towards the old house's broken picture window. As soon as she touched the glass, the window was mended and clear. The old house shuddered. The window had become brand new. The boy touched the window's wooden frame, and dark green velvet curtains appeared on either side. Both children knelt and felt the broken boards of the window seat that repaired itself instantly, complete with tapestry cushions. I must be dreaming, thought the old house. The children opened their arms wide. An elegant, button-backed Victorian sofa magically appeared along the wall. It had decorative walnut wood and carved arms with soft duck egg green damask upholstery and a matching chair beside. A photo album lay open on its arm as if someone had left it there recently. A gas lamp glimmered above, waiting for the reader to return. The children held hands and swung their arms back and forth, and a rocker, polished like new, settled into the opposite corner. They tapped the walls, and pictures took shape. A framed petit-point garden stretched above the sofa. An embroidered "Bless This House" sampler was placed next to the rocker, and dainty watercolors of faraway sailboats on unknown waters were hung in groupings by the entrance to the room. Everything became brighter. The old house was amazed. Suddenly, in the dining room, a heavy oak table and 4 high-backed chairs were set for dinner, with fine white linen and bone china dinnerware and crystal goblets waiting to be filled with festive cheer, while the antique hurricane lamp flickered in the center, making the glasses twinkle. The old house blushed from such attention. It was almost more than she could bear.